Okay, Parak Lamed Aleph. Yeah? V'hinei af im kishiyar char b'lahamek binyanim v'aynis karam le'el kishal shtayim liest b'nim michas ruach levnish bar yavel lidiatzos de'el yachosh. So now we discussed yesterday's Tanya that a person shouldn't judge someone else until he comes to this place, because if you were in the same place, you would also be what he's doing. And then Alter says that you are doing whatever it is that you're judging someone else for doing. You're doing on some level. It might not be in the mindset or setting that the person is doing it with, but in your own, world, it's pretty almost certain that you're not going completely out of your nature for Vayis Hashem in whatever it is that I do, But when you think about that, it's going to bring you to depression. So let him not be perturbed, he writes. Even though depression comes from the klipa, not from kedusha. When it comes to kedusha, it's happiness. The Shekhinah does not rest upon only joy. So too is the study of Torah. It's supposed to be done with joy of spirit. But if depression comes from heavenly matters, it is the good within the dual klipa that can be used for good or bad. I just want to take note here, that the Rebbe was declared that this is not for our generation, as far as I understand.
Well, which one?
That this atzvos that the Alter was saying is good for us to have. The Rebbe said this generation is completely simcha. And the Rebbe declared in a mimer called Magul, the Pum of the Rava, this generation is 100% simcha. We're not supposed to have depression. It doesn't work for us. Okay. I guess he writes here that the Arizal also mentions that it's supposed to be done everything with simcha. Okay, he writes here, yes, this is precisely the method of humbling the Sitracha, that through something of its own species and kind, you work with the way it works, the way the klipa works is that it tries to bring you into a state of depression. So you work with its tools. You say, depression, I'll use your depression to bring about greater work in Torah and Tefillah. So the Alter was saying you can take out the good of the depression to use it to enhance your acts of goodness and kindness and Torah mitzvahs. That from the forest itself comes the axe, right? The famous Matisyahu song. That you take your axe, you take your weapon from the forest itself. Whatever you're hitting, your weapon's coming from its material. Meaning you're chopping the tree and you're taking from the tree to be able to chop it. So the same thing. The spirit of the Yetzer Hara is depression. So you're taking from its way to use it to hack it away. Anyway, the interesting concept. All right. In every sadness there will be profit. He writes here that it's going to be the simcha which comes about through the state of atzvos. He writes, but in truth, in truth, however, the state of being contrite of heart and bitter of soul, remorseful over one's remoteness from Hashem, or the fact that one's soul is clothed in tzedakah, this state can be no means by described in the Holy Tongue Hebrew by the term atzvot. Ki atzvos hi shulibim mituntum ki avamei nechas b'lilei. True real depression is that the person pasha is like a heart of a rock, doesn't feel anything, completely numb. But to be broken-hearted and bitter, there's chayas there. There's chayas in your heart, lispol, lismarmer, to be embittered, and itself a sign of life. It's coming from a severity. Simcha comes with chasadim. Because the heart has both. Sometimes you need to bring about the strictness, what we're talking about, this bitterness, this broken heart, in order to sweeten the judgment. When the Yetzer Hara and the Nefesh Bahamas is ruling over the person, because sometimes the spiritual strictness can only be sweetened with its kind, which means to say you have to take and kind of be a little bit in a state of brokenness, which is like from the remnant, which is like from the material of the depression of the Yetzer Hara, and use that to bring about a greater simcha. So sometimes you gotta, so you could be like depressed from just like being stone-hearted. That's like the Yetzer Hara. But you could take a little sense of it, of like you could take a little bit of the good within that kalipa, which is that you could use bitterness to sweeten the gvura. You could use a sense of bitterness. There's a certain type of bitterness of brokenheartedness which could rectify your actual nefesh bahamas to be in the simcha of a nefesh lekis. You're kind of using its weapon against it. There's a way of doing that. One should always incite the good inclination to anger against the evil inclination. Interesting. Again, you see this concept of using anger, which is an emotion of the Yetzer Hara, but you're using it kind of as a tool for the nefesh lekis, right? This is whenever he finds it necessary for himself to do. Again, the Rebbe, as far as I understand, said it's not for our generation. There's a certain set time where it could be befit. When you're anyways feeling miserable, kind of utilize that if you're anyways in a bitter mood, utilize that to sort of be bitter of your situation, of how far you are from Hashem, to try to recognize, to try to be closer. Right? That from that you'll actually take away the bad of it, which is stam just being depressed. So here we see, just to sum up today's Tanya, the concept is sometimes if you're in a state of anger or anguish or pain or you're feeling extremely depressed and sad, try to see the good in it. Try to see, typically in that time, you're feeling a little more deep, you're seeing things more deeper. You can utilize it to look at yourself and say, hey, this isn't working. So, try to see the good within that feeling. It's not working, so let me try to change things up. You can work to change things up, utilizing that spirit that you're in. And you would then be kind of using its language against it. Like, it's trying to say like, oh, life is miserable and everything. No. Take the misery. Okay, well, where can I cause myself to be a little closer to Hashem?